taking a minute. There we go. All right, get live in both places. Get it so I can see comments in both groups, and I think then we're set to go. Hey everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. It's Tuesday night, and I've said this before, Tuesday night's my favorite night to go live because it's a sketch challenge, and I love to do sketches. So tonight, I'm using the circle punches for mine. You can use any shape. So when I put circles on there as the shapes, they're just the easiest to draw for me in the program that I use. And so I'm using circles to show you, but I'm actually going to use another sneak peek from the September to December mini catalog called Light the Year, which is a bundle. Lanterns, which is kind of fun. And then I'm also using the paper that is part of the Give Back program. So with the package, they had this last year. If you remember A Walk in the Forest, they gave, I think it was $4 Canadian to, I think it was the Salvation Army. Hey, Sharon. This time round, the paper is called, just trying to see if I can see comments in both places. Hey, Catherine. The paper is called Sentimental Christmas. I've got it with me. Sentimental Christmas. Yep. It's 12 by 12 paper, and they are giving $4 in Canadian for every package sold to literary charities in Canada. So I don't know exactly which ones. They'll probably give us more information on that. It's really pretty paper. It's quite old-fashioned and traditional looking, and so I think it's really pretty, and you can do all sorts of things with it. So that's what I'm using tonight with my sketch. So I'm going to switch over, and then we'll get started. So this is the sketch. As I said, I've used the circles, both the 2-inch and the 2 3/8 inch. You can use any shape to replace those circles. They're just easier for me. So quite an easy sketch to do, especially with circle punches. And then the background, you can do designer series paper. You can use embossed cardstock. You could use plain colored cardstock of some sort, or even create your own designer series paper. And then whatever size of sentiment piece you need. I said 1/2 inch by 3, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to make mine a little bit wider based on the sentiment that I think I'm going to use. Hey, Lynn, welcome. Okay, so that's the sketch. Oh, so let me tell you, 5.5 by 8.5 or 4 1/4 by 11. That's the card base. This yellowy layer is 3 3/4 by 5. And then a shape that's roughly 2 inches by 2, thereabouts. And then this one I said 2 3/8 by 2 3/8. So whatever shape you want to use. And then your sentiment piece, 1/2 inch by 3 inches, or whatever fits your sentiment. So let me show you, again, sneak peeks. So this is called Light the Year. Definitely a bit of an old-fashioned looking, with the lanterns, and it's got boughs and pine cones and the bow. Some really pretty sentiments for the holiday season. And even the candle that you can stamp inside your lanterns. And then there are dies. There are only 9 dies. So there are dies for each of the lanterns. Dies. So I think just about all of this. So it's 2-step stamping for some of these images. And I think just about all of the stamped images have dies to cut them. And then there are 3, I'll lose this one, you watch. There are 3 extra dies that will cut sprigs. And so 2 that will cut sprigs. And then, well, there's my other one. I don't really need it, but this cuts berries. So it actually cuts 5 berries, and I cut two of the cut it out twice and wondered where one of my berries went to, but it was still in there. That one is really easy to lose, so I'm going to put that back quickly before I lose it. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to do some heat embossing. Oh, I was going to show you the paper. This is the Sentimental Christmas paper. So as I said, it's sentimental, vintagey. It's got candles on the trees, so it's definitely got a very vintagey, historical feel to it, old-fashioned feel to it. But some really pretty Christmas trees. And on the other side, some lovely, this is, I think, basic beige. Somewhere I have the colors. Oh yeah, basic beige, basic black, cherry cobbler, crushed curry, early espresso, garden green, old olive, pecan pie, poppy parade, pretty peacock, and shaded spruce. So some really pretty colors. So shaded spruce and basic beige on this one. And then there is a bundle called, actually, there might even be a suite, Sentimental Christmas. And I think the die will from that one will cut this out. This is just really pretty. A very old-fashioned looking stocking. So this, definitely easy scrapbooking. If you wanted a 12 by 12 layout, you could do some scrapbooking on this without much thinking. Just put some pictures on and a title. Really pretty with the candy canes, and then some bows with sprigs and maybe mistletoe. Not sure. It's got white berries, and on the back side is the same kind of, it's poppy parade stripes. Candles. So this one would go really well with a light the year in pretty peacock, and then those pretty candles. Another one that is really good for scrapbooking, just, you know, as a bag. You don't have to do anything to it. Perfect. Some deer. So this one would coordinate really well with the reindeer fun. This is the one I'm using today. I opened this package and this one I went, wow. So this is pecan pie with snowflakes. I love this one. So that's what I'm using on mine tonight. Again, this reminds me of that candy, ribboned candy that we used to get as kids. We always got a bag full of candy, always hard candies and things my mother would buy. But yes, they had these ribbon candies. And then some really pretty trees. This is really pretty in shaded spruce, old olive, and I don't know, there's pretty peacock in there. And then a diagonal version striped. I think I showed you that one. Yeah. So it's really pretty paper and definitely an old-fashioned feel to it. So let's get started. So here's my pieces. So I'm using thick basic white cardstock, and I realized that that's okay. My piece is already scored and I've got an extra score line on it, but that's okay. So this is 5.5 by 8.5. And I've scored it already at 4 1/4. So we'll fold into the mountain and burnish. It is gorgeous. I'm going to use this side because like I said, I've already got a bit of a score line on it. So I cut my piece of pretty peacock out that's 3 3/4 by 5, and I decided, so that's what the card sketch looks like. Hey Louise, I decided to add an extra layer to it just because I wanted to kind of pop that pretty peacock up, and I am going to be embossing. I was going to emboss in black. I'm thinking I'm embossing in copper now, but I thought that the black would just kind of set the that pretty peacock layer off. So I'm just going to adhere this on. So I just made the layer in behind. You can either make the layer when you're adding extra layers in 1/4 of an inch bigger in both side and bottom or top. Or in this case, I did 1/8 of an inch. So it's like a 1/16 of an inch of a border. I call this a peekaboo border. So it's just got a peekaboo of the black around it. Put this on. Just love this pretty peacock with the snowflakes. One of my favorite techniques is heat emboss. And so you could, if you've got a snowflake stamp, or there's at least one snowflake stamp in the new catalog, you could do this easily by heat embossing the snowflakes in white and then using your blending brush to add pretty peacock. So you could simulate that and get it embossed as well. Okay, so I cut my pieces out of white. Now I'm second guessing myself, so I think I'm going to go and grab some black cardstock and the punches, because I think I want mine in black, because I'm going to heat emboss in copper. So I'll be right back. my original thought was to punch out the circles in black. And then I changed my mind because then I thought I was going to stamp the lanterns in black. But I'm now changing my mind again. So I punched one out. We'll consider that. So I punched one out at 2" and one at 2 3/8, and we'll figure out which ones we're going to use once we get the lanterns stamped. And do I have a piece of basic white? Here I do. Okay, there we go. So as I said, I'm going to stamp my lanterns. One of them is quite big. They're both bigger. The images are at 90%, so they actually are a fair amount bigger than what they seem to be. So here's the first one. It's definitely bigger than I thought it was going to be. I even need a bigger block. Quite a bit bigger block. Here we go. And then we'll do this one. And then I'm going to take the candle out because I think I'm going to try and use that one too. Okay, so I've got my Versamark. I've got my embossing buddy. So we'll just go over my paper using the embossing buddy. And then we're going to stamp both of these using Versamark. One, so you come back. And then this one, make sure I don't stamp over. Can't see it. There we go, like that. All right. And then I pulled out the new Wow embossing powder that we now have. And so the metallic ones, so this is the Wow, come in metallic gold, rich, polished silver, and metallic copper regular. So I'm going to use the copper because I think it'll go nicely with the pretty peacock. Hopefully I didn't wait too long. It should still be. Ooh, isn't that cool? There we go. So those are the two lanterns with the embossing powder on. I should have stamped my sentiment, but I'm going to wait a minute. I'll leave that embossing powder out. Now, I've only used this embossing powder once. I saw one of the other Stampin' Up! Demonstrators asking about this. I personally think this melts faster than the embossing powder that we used to have. I don't have any evidence or scientific proof that it does that, but it just felt like it did. So we'll see. These are quite large images. So we'll see how quickly these takes to melt. And then hopefully you can still hear me over the heat tool. So I'm just going to hold it in one spot until it starts to melt. And then we'll see. Yeah, so it's already started to melt. I do think that this melts a little bit faster than the embossing powder that we previously had. So if you've played with it at all and have an opinion, let me know. So there are two different packages of it. This one is the metallics. The other one is the basics, and it's clear, white, and black. So hold it in one spot until it starts to melt, and then you can start to move it around. And don't hold it in any one spot for too long. Otherwise, the embossing powder just starts to kind of sink into the paper. So there we go, nice and shiny. And let's get our dies out. Watch, I'm going to lose these little tiny dies. Here's the one. There's the two. Oops. So we'll take this. It's warped my paper a little bit, but I'll see how warped it is after I get it run through the embossing, the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and then maybe then I'll figure it out if it needs to. I need to do something about the warp. Okay, so I'll just run this through. Even with my taking some time, like a second, didn't take a lot of time clearly, to tape my die on, I still end up with it a little off center. So if that ever happens to you, I just take my scissors and trim around it a little bit. This is just on one side, and so I'm just going to trim that just a little bit of the white off so it looks like it's a little bit more centered, and I did a better job of die cutting. There we go. Okay, put my dies back over here. So let's do some. Okay, so I think I need a little bit of yellow for the inside. So this is the light Daffodil Delight. So I'm just going to color the inside of the lantern. Ooh, that's quite bright. Ooh. You know what, I should have maybe used, might have looked better. I might soften that a little bit. This is a very bright lantern, but that's okay. I might soften it a little bit by going over top of it with the light crumb cake. Let's see what that looks like. I have some here. Where's my crumb cake? I've got dark crumb cake. Oh, there it is. Let's just test this out and see what this, oh, let's just do it here. All right, I think that'll soften it just a little bit. Yeah. Puts it a little bit more on the yellowy brown tone instead of the bright yellow. I'm just coloring. I'm not doing any blending, but that just kind of takes that real brightness away from it. So I do think I'm going to use the black, and we'll just bend them a little bit. And we'll use some dimensionals. I didn't bring any ribbon over. You could use some ribbon if you wanted to. I did cut some of the sprigs out, so that was my plan, to use the sprigs on the top. Okay, so I'll do that one there. Oops, where'd you go? There we are. Didn't want to come off my hand. Okay, so that's going to go like that, and then I need a sentiment. So I think I'm going to heat emboss the sentiment as well in the copper, and I'm going to use this one that says "Sending Love and Light This Time of Year." Embossing powder. And if you find the stamps in this mess that I have on my table, there we go. Use my trick to make sure that the stamp is straight and kind of takes the shape it wants to, is to flop it down on your grid paper or on your glass mat, and then pick it up using your block. So we will use stamp or Versamark. I probably should use my embossing buddy if I could find it. There it is. Just redo that because I had my oily fingers maybe. Let's see if I have enough. There we go. And we'll heat this as well. So if you had some vellum, I don't have any vellum because it retired, but if you have vellum, you could cut the lantern out of vellum, and then well, maybe you couldn't. Actually, you could try and stamp on the vellum. I was thinking that you could put it, you'd have to take an X-Acto knife and cut. Maybe that wouldn't work. Good thought. All right, so I'm just going to take, I'm not going to fussy cut around these. I'm just going to cut like this. All right, I'm going to just glue these flat. I have enough of this is popped up, so. And it doesn't matter which of these shapes goes at the top and which goes at the bottom. I just like that. Shift that over just a touch. Like that. And I'm going to take a mini dimensional and pop it up my handle, particularly on the big one, is sticking up there and sticking out. Won't lay flat. There we go. Okay. All right, and then we'll just put this sentiment here down at the bottom using dimensionals. So I'll play with this stamp set some more, this bundle, and use some different colors because I think it would look really pretty with in Cherry Cobbler or Poppy Parade. Now, I did say I was going to try and use the candle. Am I going to try and use the candle? She says. Let's see. Let's try. I probably, no, not probably. I definitely should have done this before I stuck it on, but let's just be brave and, oh, there we go. I think that finishes it off. There we go. Oh, yeah, I like it. That was pecan pie. I did that. Now, embellishment. These are, I think it's Drusy. I don't know how you say it. D-R-U-S-Y. I looked it up because I didn't know what it was. And it means crystals kind of sticking out. And so if you feel these, they come in clear and then this kind of goldy, coppery color. If you feel it, you can actually feel the little crystals. So they're rough as opposed to like a rhinestone. So I'm just going to use some of these goldy, coppery ones. Oops, like that. There. And then the other thing that I'm going to put on is I cut out, these are the sprigs. No, you know what? I don't think I'm going to use that. No. So I cut these sprigs out and then the berries in Cherry Cobbler, and I just stuck the berries on with just a little dot of glue. And then I took my take your pick tool with the putty end and just picked the little dots up and put them on so that the berries are glued on. I'm going to save those for another card. I don't think I want anything more, but I do want something on the inside of my card. So I'm going to take the pecan pie and I'm going to take these candles and just stamp 3 candles down in the bottom of the inside of my card. Hey, Sandy, welcome. All right, so that is the light, what did I say it was called? Light the Year bundles, my first card with it. So we'll continue playing. And that was the sketch that I used. And so the sketch will go live in about 4 minutes time. So if you came in a bit late oops, where'd it go? Trying to get back over so that I can see. There we go. If you came in a little bit late and missed the measurements, or you want to grab the measurements, hey Marva, welcome. You can do that. Just go to either my Instagram or Facebook group or page, and that sketch will post in about 4 minutes time. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me tonight. Hope you have a great evening, and I'll be back tomorrow at 6:30 with a technique for you. So come join me then. Happy stamping. Bye.